In honor of the day retail employees hate the most, I thought I would give you some advice on how to avoid plant scams. Unfortunately, there are a lot of them out there, and some are more obvious than others. So, here are four major things to be aware of when you're buying plants online. And if you're an alocasia lover that shops on Etsy, you might want to stick around for the last one. The first scam I'm going to talk about is seed scams. I primarily see these on Etsy and eBay, but they are everywhere as well. And unfortunately, in most people's cases, the seeds that you think you ordered aren't actually for that plant. And something that kind of sucks is that seeds are generally cheaper than the actual plant. So customers are going into this thinking they're getting a good deal and they're not getting what they wanted at all. It also takes a while for seeds to sprout, so it can take weeks to months before somebody even notices that they're scammed. If you really want to grow plants from seeds, I would look into buying seeds from a nursery that specializes in that type of plant. So, for example, I would go to Carnivoro for Nepenthes seeds. California Carnivores is great for Venus flytrap seeds. There's a lot of private anthurium and begonia breeders who sell seeds, and some bigger nurseries even sell anthurium seeds as well. Another thing you can do to make sure that the private seller that you're buying from is reputable is to look up a picture of the seeds of the plant you want to buy and then ask the seller for pictures of their seeds to compare. This way you can tell right off the bat if they're the actual seeds of your desired plant. If you still end up receiving fake seeds in the mail, you now have this conversation of what you were supposed to be getting to help open your case for a refund. Another thing I would do is avoid websites that only sell seeds at really cheap prices or almost anything is discounted. These places are generally just scams, and I'm going to be honest, most of their listings even look like scams. And even just type in the shop name and see if anybody else has bought from that shop on Google or Reddit or something where you can read what other people's experiences were. But the overall point is if you really want to buy houseplant seeds, you should go to somebody who specializes in breeding those plants. The second scam to be aware of is the pink Congo scam. And this one's actually been around for quite a while, but people who are getting new to kind of the colorful aeroids or houseplants in general are still falling for it, and they're repeating this process with other houseplants now. So basically, what happens with the pink Congo scam is plants are put in a greenhouse and continuously treated with chemical hormones that cause them to produce that pink color in the newest growth. As the hormones wear off, the oldest growth will start to turn green. And once these plants are not exposed to this chemical anymore, that pink coloration is not stable. And that pink color will inevitably go away completely, even from the newest growth. So the issue is a lot of people buying these plants think that it is just going to continuously produce pink leaves that fade to green in a pattern. And while there are plants that do this naturally that I'll mention a little bit later, the pink Congo is not one of them. It is chemically treated. And despite people's efforts and claims, this process cannot be replicated at home. This listing even claims that auxins can be used to maintain the color. But auxins is an umbrella term for multiple natural and synthetic plant hormones. And in order for plants to constantly produce this wild pink color, they need to have constant access to this hormone. And even though this scam started a few years ago, I want to bring it up now because I'm seeing a lot of pink micans on the market recently that are the same chemical treatment as the pink Congo. I do want to let you know that there are real pink variegated versions of these plants that are not chemically treated, such as the pink princess philodendron and pink variegated micans. But these are both cases of chimera mutations, which is a natural occurrence that happens in the plant's meristem layer. I made a whole video about them if you would like to watch it. But basically, those plants' color determines on the genetics of the plant itself, not artificial induction. When you compare the real pink micans versus the chemically treated ones, you can see the real ones have green on the newest growth and some pink on the older growth. And the fake one just has all green as the oldest growth and all pink as the newest growth. I also want to note that Philodendron Florida Ghost and Philodendron Macaulay's Finale both experience a color change similar to the pink Congo, but is not artificially induced. The Philodendron Florida Ghost leaves come out white and fade to green naturally over time, but even in the newest growth, there are little slivers of green on these, not completely white. And Macaulay's Finale leaves start out a deep orange and slowly fade to green over time. But here you can see only the newest leaf is orange, and the leaf seems to be green by the time it finishes hardening off. The chemically treated pink ones don't transition to green as smoothly as the naturally occurring plants. It almost looks like the leaf is dying before it turns green again. And I want to reiterate that these chemically induced pink plants will eventually stop producing pink altogether, not just in their oldest leaves. I'm even seeing this trend spread into other philodendrons like the philodendron Pink Dark Lord and the philodendron Pink Birkin. Kaylee Ellen has two amazing videos about the pink Congo scam in much more detail than I'm going to mention. She's literally like an FBI agent, like contacting distributors and researchers. Like, it's crazy, all the evidence that she has. I'll leave a link to the first video in her series in the description of this video. And I quickly want to mention dyed orchids while we're kind of on the topic of artificially colored plants. If you see these orchids at the store, unfortunately, they are not going to come back this color. They are dyed before they're distributed to whatever store you're buying them from. Here you can even see the oldest flowers are bright blue because they were exposed to dye first and for the longest period of time. But as the new growth comes in and the plant is no longer being exposed to the dye, you can see the color starting to fade back to white. And the last scam is probably the worst scam out there, in my opinion. Sellers list highly sought after variegated Alocasia Corms online for ridiculously cheap prices. Like the seeds, Alocasia Corms can take weeks to months to sprout. So by the time you realize you've been scammed, it's a little bit too late. Before the shop is reported as a scam, there were potentially hundreds of victims that paid for those plants that weren't what they thought they were. And then this shop just creates a new email address, new shop, and opens right back up for business as a scammer. You can avoid this altogether by buying from reputable nurseries in your own country. But I do understand there are plants available online in other countries that are not offered in your home country, and usually at better deals. So if you still want to import, especially off of Etsy, here are a few things to look out for and a few shops to look out for. Or who knows, maybe these shops will be shut down by the time this video is uploaded. But the first thing is that if the price is too good to be true, it's probably a scam. When we look at this listing, the price is way too good to be true, and to be sure, we can look up the going rate of the plant that we're trying to buy. The second thing that's kind of obvious is check the reviews. If you're buying corms and you check the reviews and there are no pictures of what the sprouted corms look like, and the price is too good to be true, you should probably pass. Let's take a look at the reviews of this shop. And then we look at this listing, a completely different shop name with really great prices. I check out the reviews, and again, all the reviews are the same. It's even the same freaking guy. And this last shop account I'm going to show you basically stole somebody's identity. It looks like the others with cheap prices, but it's even worse than it looks. For example, this corn photo is used in multiple listings. Literally the listings right next to each other. And the pictures this person's using aren't even theirs. I found the owner of these pictures on Instagram, and the scammer just copied every photo from the post and rearranged them for their listing. So, if you are looking for shops, I would look at some that have been in business for at least a year or around that mark and have multiple good reviews. Reviews from different people, too. I personally have ordered from US Custom VN, which is based out of Vietnam. They updated me with pictures every step of the importing process, and they have many great reviews on their shop page. And I haven't personally ordered from New Year Garden, but they have many great reviews as well, and I've seen plants that people received from them that are exactly as described and in great condition. Buying houseplants is supposed to be a fun and rewarding experience, and it truly sucks having part of your hobby ruined for you. So make sure you shop responsibly this Black Friday and with the holidays coming up. And as usual, I'll show you a sneak peek into next week's video before we go. And I'll see you in December.